And we are officially recording, Al. Welcome. Episode 68 of the Ministry of Freedom show is going to be formatted a little bit differently than the audience is used to. And here's why. You ready for something, a twist, Al?
Sure.
Okay. So I had a meeting with the accounting people yesterday. One of my favorite people in the whole world works with that firm. Her name is Kim Lee. Shout out Kim and Tom Lee.
Hi, Kim.
So Kim was talking about the podcast, and she says, I watch your shorts, and those are, they're just really short. I'm like, yeah, that's the name. She goes, in the podcast I enjoy, but they get a little bit long. And she goes, if there's just a happy medium. I said, well, what's a happy medium look like to you? She said, well, I like 20 minutes. I said, okay, how about the next podcast that we do? I promise you it'll be 20 minutes and it'll be dedicated to Kim Lee.
Here you go.
So there you go. Mrs. Lee, this is for you. So we won't even do an intro to this one. We're going to combine the intro and everything in here. So what do we normally talk about in the intro?
What's going to be said on the podcast?
Well, we talk about plug-in stuff.
Yeah.
So we would ask that you like and subscribe on YouTube and follow along on all the social medias. And obviously, what else have I done? I've written a couple books. You can buy those locally at the Book Nook. You can go to Amazon and pick those up. We also look around, Al. What do we got going on in here?
Walls.
We got walls. We mentioned that last week. We got a whole new studio. So that's all well and good. And we're very excited about that. And yeah, so that's something else that's been pretty cool. So this is our first time with the new walls, and hopefully you guys like that look a little more than basement walls. I know I do. The other thing that we are super excited about that we talk about often is our school community called Building and Becoming, right?
Yes.
Yes. So Building and Becoming is kind of our baby, and we are excited about it. We're trying to get people to jump on board with us. We've got 19 people in right now. Very excited about that. It's been, how long we've been doing? A month and a half?
Yes.
Seems about right, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So here's what I will tell you about Building and Becoming. It's an online community, and that's new for a lot of people. And I don't know that I've done a great job of explaining exactly what everyone gets, because it's not just, hey, sign up, pay a monthly fee, and you get a Zoom call once a week. We do weekly Zooms on Thursday evening, and then we do like a Bible study Zoom fellowship once a week that people can join if they want. And then there's other opportunity for connection even throughout the day. So there's a morning devotional that gets posted every single morning. There is constant contact in the community throughout the day. We share our gym pics, and Allie's written an ebook that's in one of the courses. There's meal planning. There's just so much life in there. And we're building courses. There's sales and entrepreneurship, faith, mindset, fitness. There's all kinds of cool courses in there too. And there's new modules, trainings that are getting added weekly, several a week. That's where the real meat is. It's in that course content. So I just would encourage people. We offer a free week for people to jump in and check it out. There's no obligation. Yeah. We don't do contracts even after that. We don't believe in that. We want to continue to earn it every day. And here's what I wanted the audience to know, because we got new people jumping on all the time. And I wanted people to understand what Building and Becoming is all about. So we aren't selling memberships. What we're offering is transformation and a different lifestyle. So yes, that requires an investment. It requires a really fair investment of time and funds. The time is as much as you want to put into it. I mean, you could use hours a week of absorbing the content and taking notes and watching courses and engaging with the other people in the group. That's totally up to you. The investment, let's be honest, it's $99 a month with no contract. It's even cheaper than that if you pay for the year. I mean, that's a latte a day is how I look at that. And that's where the investment has to, you got to have perspective on that. And we do that because we believe where there's no investment, there's no commitment. Where there's no commitment, there's no real life change or transformation.
No growth.
Yeah. So that's our thing. That's what we're doing in Building and Becoming. There's links everywhere. In the show notes, there's always a link. In the YouTube bio, you can find it. So it's everywhere. On my Instagram at Real Jim Moats. There's a ton of ways. And if you can't find a link, text me, message me, comment, whatever, DM. I'll get you whatever you need.
Right.
Yeah, you ready to roll on?
Yep.
All right, meat of the show today. So I told you we're going to get out of here in about 20 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about a spiritual win, a physical win, and a mental win. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So each day, what I want the audience to take away from today's show is I want you guys to seek those three things every single day. And that I like that perspective because I've been chasing those things, and you have a very fulfilled day if you can do all those things. So let's bounce back and forth and talk about a spiritual win. How would you go about getting a spiritual win for your day?
Time with God.
Love that.
Yeah.
In what way specifically? Can you think of a couple?
Worship music.
Okay, great.
Reading my daily devotionals.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Same with me. So it's starting my day with my devotional time. Right away, I have a spiritual win. I also get spiritual wins from writing devotionals. I put those on the Building and Becoming community page every morning. I really love doing that. So writing and reading devotionals is huge for me. So that's our spiritual wins are pretty common, right?
Yeah.
And I hear you rocking out in the gym with your worship music. So yours go throughout the morning.
Yeah.
So it's all good.
Right.
So let's talk about how do you get a physical win every day?
Training first thing in the morning.
Yep, that's a good one.
Watching what I'm eating.
Yeah.
I think that's goes hand in hand. Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, physical wins are yes, where my mind goes first is get down in the gym and do hard stuff. And that's certainly a physical win, but that's an hour-long win. For me, where I have to, and that's easy for me, setting aside that time and having that discipline, that's pretty easy for me to consistently do. What I have found is I feel better about my physical wins when it ties into nutrition. So if I'm getting quality foods in, I'm hitting macros, the protein and stuff that I want to hit, if I'm getting my gallon of water in, those are where the real physical wins, and I think the transformation happens. And then another physical win for me is getting to sleep early.
Yeah.
That's something that I think a lot of people might tend to neglect, but it's all encompassing. So you can't just chase one physical win, because if you go down and hammer out an hour workout in the morning, that's great. But if you're eating like crap the rest of the day and you're only getting 5 hours of sleep, the benefit is not there. It's just not, you're not getting everything you should out of an all-encompassing set of daily habits that are going to get you where you want to go physically.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what you're doing downstairs.
Yeah. So those are the physical wins for me. It's hard to narrow down to just one. I just think that there's many that are all-encompassing that feed off each other. Mental wins. What's a mental win? That one's a little tougher to try to put our finger on, isn't it? The first two I thought would come pretty easy.
I think showing kindness when you're angry.
Yeah.
And not reacting on emotion. I think that's a really big mental win, because left to our own devices, we don't handle that kind of stuff well. So I think that's a nice mental win. And doing stuff that's uncomfortable. I think those are mental wins. Like for me, I have my cousin's wedding's coming up, and left to my own stuff, I don't want to participate in that. Hopefully none of them are listening to this one. But I don't like that. I don't like doing stuff like that. But to make myself uncomfortable and participate in something like that, that's a mental win for me, I think. To put myself out there, be uncomfortable, and do the hard stuff. That's a mental win for me.
I think that's huge. And I think people overlook that kind of stuff. My mind went to, I like where your mind went. Mine was the opposite, maybe not the opposite, just really, really different. My mind went to mental wins for me are my reading and maybe a podcast.
Yeah.
So mental wins for me, my mind went right to, am I feeding my mind? But I think that you went a little more relationally and emotionally, which is probably a lot tougher to do than picking up a book. So I like that. I think there's a place for both of those, without a doubt. Yeah, that's really, really good. So that's our physical, spiritual, mental wins for each day.
Yeah.
So if we can string a few of those days together, all of a sudden we've got a pretty solid week that's coming together. And now we're seeing some real life change. Yeah. Right. So for people that are driving around, they're on their way to work, they're listening to this podcast on a Tuesday morning, and they're like, okay, that sounds great, but I've got this and I got kids and I've got that. It's easy for you and Allie to say. And what advice could you give the audience that's out, stressed out, driving to work, got all the problems in the world? They got the sick kid at home. They're living paycheck to paycheck. What about the people that just think that chasing after spiritual, mental, and physical wins does not fit into their life right now? What would you say to them?
That they're wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, it absolutely does. I think that as far as the spiritual stuff, God doesn't give you what you ask for all the time. He gives you what you're ready for, I feel, and He has you put that puzzle together. Right now, I've been asking for God to cast my vision for me because I'm not entirely sure what that is. And my vision for what I think my stuff should be might not be what He has. And that's okay. But it doesn't mean that it's not real and that I can't operate in a spiritual life. So we just have to remember for that, that's crap for you to say that you don't have time for the spiritual stuff. For the fitness, I think that whatever is worth doing, you make time for. If you have time to sit on the couch and watch TV for 30 minutes, you've got time to walk or exercise for 30 minutes. And I don't think the physical stuff just goes to exercising. I think if you can do anything like with your nutrition and stuff like that. You just make time for things that matter. And your mental stuff with Jim's reading, I mean, you can choose or not to choose. It's just all a decision that you make every day.
So agreements keep people from what's actually true because they believe it's true. I don't have time. I don't have the money. I don't have the, and it's just nonsense. And you're right. They are total excuses. So let's just go to the physical. Let's say I'll give someone the benefit of the doubt. They have no workout equipment at home. It's below zero outside. They can't go walk. They can't afford a gym membership. Whatever. We'll give them all the excuses. They're going to eat and consume liquid that day, right?
Yep.
They can make choices with really, we can argue, not much more money investment. In fact, probably less money than going out to eat. So you could save some money, buy quality food and meal prep.
Yep.
And you could get physical wins every day just by putting down the sodas and the monster drinks, drinking water, meal prepping with quality food. And every day you can have physical wins.
For sure. Because you can't out-train a bad diet. You can put all the effort you want in the gym and it won't matter if you go upstairs and you eat, 2,000 calories in one sitting of crap food.
Totally agree. So I'm just trying to find practical things because my mind goes right to freaking get over it. You excuse people, you're lazy. And I'm trying to soften that up a little bit, but there's not a place to be too soft with it. But I think people think they have to do too much, right? Get up in the morning and take 30 seconds and pray. How about you listen to one worship song?
Yeah, God loves when we sing.
That's it, right? We learned that at church. What a great message that was.
Yeah.
So let's say you take a 4-minute worship song in the morning, you meal prep and drink water during the day. So now we've got our spiritual win, we've got our physical win. And are you telling me that there's people out there that believe they don't have 10 minutes to read? Or how about an audiobook in your car on the way to work? So we can chase mental wins as well. I don't care what stresses, how broke you are, what excuses you have. You just are in love with staying stuck if you're not chasing after those 3 wins each day.
Yeah, it's the not wanting to get uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
I'm glad that you mentioned that. I'm going to click through on my computer here a little bit, and I'm going to read you something that I posted in our Building and Becoming community just a few minutes ago before we got started, because this was on my mind. And the subject says question. So I posed a question to those in our group. How long will you put off what you're capable of doing and who you're capable of becoming just to stay comfortable? How long are you going to put it off, audience? Because I know that there's people listening to this that are like, I'm already pretty much on track, and great. Maybe this talk isn't for you specifically, other than to reinforce and encourage you to stay on the path and maybe keep going a little bit harder. What about the people that this is speaking to you? We're looking right in the camera. There are people watching this and listening to it that you are so convicted, your heart's racing, and you want to turn us off because you're sick of hearing it. This message is for you, right?
Yeah. Well, here's a thought too. A message I heard at church was when you're sitting and you're listening to the preacher preach and you're like, wow, this message is really good, but for somebody else, and you're thinking of all the ways that this message could really help that other person. And that's when you really need to turn the dial in on yourself and think how much this message is actually for you.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I think that we as humans, it's really easy to deflect and not want to take a look in the mirror. But I think if we took a few minutes in the mirror and really looked at us, and I'm not saying like, oh, my hair looks bad, or picked apart our outward appearances, but really did an inner reflection on who we are and removed the ego, it would allow us to really rebuild the character and change. We just have to start taking away those top puzzle pieces, I think.
Wow. Yeah, I think that's solid. What I was hoping that the audience would get out of today's talk is you don't have to do crazy things to chase after wins in those 3 areas.
No.
You can do small incremental changes in your daily habits that are going to reap huge rewards in your life. And we do that because consistency is our superpower, as we talk about a lot in our group. When we consistently implement these habits and chase after wins in these 3 areas, once we stack 2 or 3 days, all of a sudden we're starting to feel and see results.
You've got confidence. You feel good because you believe in yourself. You've made a promise to yourself to do something through. And so you've done it for 5 days, so you feel good. We've talked about this in Building Becoming. When the reason why yo-yo dieting, I'm just going to talk about that, is such a fail for most people. Keto, intermittent fasting, intense cardio, stuff like that sucks for some people, is because it's hard to stick to first. And when you don't stick to it, all of the work that you've done the first go around is for nothing, because your fat cells have multiplied and grown back, and your muscle has shrunk, and your metabolism has grown smaller. So when you get back on the horse to do it again, it's 10 times harder. So you're defeated, and you're like, well, why even bother? That's why you don't quit.
Yeah.
Starting over again, it's like doing recovery and all that stuff, doing it over again. You've already experienced the pain the first time. Why restart?
Wow. That's the stuff right there. There's a lot of wisdom in that. What you're saying is something that I've said for a while is stop stopping.
Yeah.
Right. Once you get going, I stopped. Stop stopping.
Yeah.
Well, this happened this week and I fell off here. Okay, now we got to start all over again. When that big boulder stops, it takes so much effort to get it going again.
Yep.
But once it's rolling, you can barely touch it.
And it moves.
Yeah.
And that applies to everything. We talked about that a lot when we worked in the finance company. You chase the bonus on the last day of the month, and you're like, if we would have collected, $10,000 more dollars, we would have hit the bottom tier of the bonus, which would have made us $500. But if we would have worked this hard on the second day of the month and taken it all the way through, we would have maximized our bonus. It's just you want to go to the extreme and maximize everything always.
For sure. I used to say, why can't we have final day of the month intensity on the 12th of the month?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And it's the same in our lives. It's not just at work, right? Why do we have to get pushed up against the wall? Yeah. Why can't we just proactively discipline ourselves and keep our energy high and get at it every day? And again, chase wins in those 3 areas.
Yeah. Or the New Year's resolution.
Oh boy.
I mean, that's when it really breaks through.
Yeah. Don't get me going on resolution, people.
Yeah.
Yep. So I think that is the message for today. Chase wins in those 3 areas: spiritually, physically, and mentally.
Yeah.
Stop stopping and get involved in a quality life-giving group and make an investment in your future self.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Anything else? Because we're at 19 minutes and 40 seconds. As I promised Kim Lee, this is her podcast and it would be no more than 20 minutes.
I just want to say thank you to Kim, because Jim gets long-winded down here and the basement is cold. So I appreciate you, Kim.
Amen, Kimberly. Guys, until next time, couple quick things. I got this cool shirt on. It says, lift, pray, obey. It's hard to see. It's part of a new line that Allie designed. It's at jimmotes.com in the shop. You Building and Becoming folks, get out there and buy some of this stuff. Until next time, that's all I got. We'll see you guys.
Bye.